Hi guys, it's Emily from Novel Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my October wrap-up part 2. Now, I managed to read a bit more books than I thought I would, considering I had a bit of a wobble this month. But I managed to read 33 books this month. 30 off my unread TBR, which was really good. I'm going forward in November, I plan to read a lot more, less borrowed books. So I've got a bit of a pile of borrowed books up there, but I plan to cut that number down so I can get cracking on my physical TBR. Now, I think Booktober went a lot better than I expected this month. I was really, really happy with the books I read. I've got some new favourites. I'm really, really happy. And it's been a great month, books-wise. Been a bit of a wobbly month otherwise, but I'll get there. I'm on my way up. So the next 5 minutes will be on my stats. So I'll go maybe less the way I'm going. I'm on track today. I've got loads to do. I'm starting the month with some quite scary books. I'm filming this on the 1st of November. So I finished my last book at 9 o'clock last night. Yeah, I cut it fine. But 31st was Halloween and I was working and I had trick-or-treating and I just didn't stop. So today I'm going to be starting, I've got 4 books to start with today. Yeah, if you would have seen my TBR for November, I've kind of overloaded myself again. Bit daft, aren't I? But let's go forward. I'm going to think positive. I can do this. So here are the stats. In October, my unread TBR number was 450 books. It stayed the same from the last month, so that was good. This month I've gone better. So I bought 29 books. Yes, that was due to my wobbles. My emotionals had a bit of a wobble with my anxiety. I now know what's causing it. I can crack on with it. I can deal with it. I will get there. I was gifted 3 books. Always grateful for that. You will see that in my book haul. So you'll see what books I've bought and what books I've been gifted in my haul, which will be the next video up after this one. I unhauled 6 books. So that because I was not in a great place this month, I've managed to just go, right, be harsh on myself. Tried some books for a few pages, didn't get on with them. That's it, they're gone. And then, like I said, I read 30 off my unread shelf. So, for the first time in I don't know how long, my unread TBR has gone down. It is now 446 books at the start of November, which, yeah, it's only gone down by 4. But I would like it to go down by a bit more for the start of December because, obviously, I know that I've got at least 3 books coming for Christmas. One off my mum, one of each of my sisters. I know that's at least because all 3 of them have told me they've ordered me books. Mainly because I know what I know what 2 of them are, and I can't wait for them. So, but that number may go up. I don't know if anyone else is going to get me books. I don't expect any, but obviously I'm always grateful for what I get. So to make sure that my unread TBR doesn't go too off the scale in for January, I'm going to try and read quite a lot of my unread TBR. Try and borrow less from the library, borrow less from friends and family. And I'm just going to really zone. But on the other side of it, I want to live in November and December. I think another reason why I read less books in October than I read in September was I actually went out. I was going out for coffee shop things with my friends. I was socialising. I was watching TV. We finally got Netflix. We finally got internet, broadband. So I'm enjoying watching TV with my family and having family time. So if my unread TBR, if my books that I read is not high, I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm living again. I was going to do a video. Sorry, Deborah. She asked me to do a video about how I read so much. But when I thought about it, yeah, I am a speed reader anyway. You guys know that. But maybe I read too much because that's all I'm doing. I'm hiding in my books. I love my books. BookTube is great. Books are fantastic. But I need to spend more time with my family and give them a bit more attention. So I may read less, I may try and balance it better, but that's what I'm going to focus on. My focus going forward for November is to read great books, but to get the right balance so that they are getting enough attention. I'm trying to go out and socialise and live again. I can do this, can't I? Yeah? So go on, here's a few more of the stats. So the genre stats are, I read 1 horror. Didn't particularly like it, but 1 poetry, 1 dystopic, 3 non-fiction, 3 fantasy, which by the way I really enjoyed, 7 classics, which is obviously higher as Booktober, but I really enjoyed them, 8 historical fiction, and 9 contemporaries. So those higher numbers, those 3 genres that are the higher numbers, are a lot more balanced than previous months, and that has worked brilliantly. I love the historical fiction. They've worked for me this month. Going forward, I'm really positive with what I've read, and I've loved the classics again. So thank you, Booktober. Thank you, Katie. Kate Howe, by the way, she's done so many amazing videos for Booktober this month. I'll shout out her channel down below. She's also one of the loveliest ladies. So yeah, really check out her and Katie from Books and Things. They've done amazing videos this month, and they've really got me ideas for next year's Booktober. Oops. So now for the star ratings. I'll tell you the numbers first, then I'll go through what I've read in the second half. So I had 3 unrated books, 6 3-star books, which isn't too bad, 1 3.5-star book, 11 4-star books, which is actually the highest number, 3 4.5-star books, and 9 5-star books. So on the top end of my books have been a lot better. There's been no 2 stars this month, no DNFs, properly DNFs. I've obviously read like a few pages and they're DNF, but I've not counted them. So, and yeah, I'm really grateful for those figures. Really happy with them. Now let's talk about them and show you what I've got. I've only got 3 5 stars to talk about this month, so I'm not going to, at the end of the video, so I'm not going to ask you to pick what book you think is going to be my favourite. But for those of you that watched last month, the part 1 video, can you tell me what book you think is my favourite Victorian book of the month? Let's see see if you can remember that. That'll be interesting. So here are my books. So my unrated books is, one is that I unrated this as a bonus book for this month, which was Letters to the Midwife. And these are books that were letters that were sent to Jennifer Worth, who called her a midwife, and was a midwife, and she did some amazing books. And I found this in the charity shops, and I thought it's quite interesting. I really enjoyed it. It's one I'm going to lend to my mum, and it's letters that people wrote to Jennifer Worth about their memories about being a midwife, about the past and things like that, and how that her books inspired them. And the correspondence was really good. It is unrated because it's non-fiction, it's because it's letters, not my place to judge. It's a really good book. And then I couldn't rate my poems by Cure, Actor and Bell. I should have done maybe, but I couldn't. There are some amazing poems in here, and there was one that I was going to read out, and I think this is a book that was given to me by Chloe. So I don't know if this counts, but there's a book about hope. There's a poem called Hope in here, which I believe was written by Emily Bronte. And I'll read you the first verse. Hope was but a timid friend. She sat without a grated den, watching how my fate would tend, even as the self-hearted men. She was cruel in her fear, though her bells were once dear daily. I looked out to see her there, and she turned her face away. Hope is important. I really love these books. Thank you, Chloe, for getting me this for my birthday this year. It's one I really recommend. So yes, it's unrated, but it's keepy. That's my mum. So now I go on to my 3-star books. So the first 3-star one was We Have Always Lived in the Castle. I didn't get it. I'm sorry, I know Katie from Books and Things loved this, but I really didn't get it. I didn't understand it. It was short and sweet, bit gothic-y, bit creepy. This was my horror for the month, but I don't know if it's horror/classic. It was good. It was alright. Didn't get too scared, but I did get scared a bit. But I didn't understand it, so it's only 3 stars. Sorry about that. So that's a charity shop. Another one that was off my shelves randomly. This is a dual timeline one. This is called Alex's Secret. It's one I've not had that long, but I wanted to pick it up because it's a dual timeline. The first is set in 1890. Alice is the sole breadwinner for her family, working at a local cotton mill. When she starts to attract the wrong attention, her life begins to spiral out of control. Then in 2018, things haven't quite worked out the way they should have for Alice. So when her aunt needs help, she returns running a beloved cafe. Alice jumps at the chance to escape to Yorkshire. It is good, but it's a bit hard-hitting. I didn't get involved in it. There wasn't enough to pull me to it and to make me really want to read it. So not really for me, I'm afraid. But again, it could be something that works. You do find out about Alice's Secret, but there are some real triggers in this, so be warned going forward, but that's a charity shop one for me. So those are my only 2 3-star. My disappointing book of the month, which is still, it's 3.5 stars. It's Ruth by Elizabeth Gaskell. Obviously I will keep it. It's Elizabeth Gaskell. I like it. But sneaky peek, I seriously doubt. I'm reading, obviously, Sylvia's Lovers in December with Gemma. And I read this month with Naomi from Naomi's Bookshelf. But at the moment, it's my least favourite Gaskell work. It's quite depressing, quite down. Just wasn't... It was easy to read. Elizabeth Gaskell works always are. It was for the task of the female protagonist. Ruth is a very good female protagonist. But it was very, very deep, very dark. Just not really the kind of book that I didn't really enjoy as much. And I found it a bit of a slog to get through because it was just very down. And an orphaned heroine, Ruth, apprenticed by a dressmaker, was seduced and abandoned by the wealthy young Henry Bellingham. But yeah, there wasn't the laugh. I know, obviously, Gaskell had to write some darker books, but it just didn't have the mix of the joy and the laughter that I find Elizabeth Gaskell normally does so perfectly. So it's not really my favourite of her work, but it's one I will keep, and again I will plan to reread that. So that's a keepie. So it was 3.5 stars. It was good, it just wasn't up there with the top ones of hers, which I'm not going to talk about because that will be in a video in January where I'll be discussing my rankings of my Gaskell books. So now to my 4-star books. I've got a lot of them, but 4 stars is a very wide bracket for me. They're books that I will not keep. They are books that were great and I loved them and I flew through them, but they didn't just have that zing to keep them. They wouldn't be ones I would necessarily reread, but they are ones I would definitely recommend. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to recommend them to you. This is a book that I would say is a YA, and again, I'm really going off YA at the moment. I'm so sorry to you YA lovers. I'm too old. I'm really too old. This is Last But Neverland, in a world where you do you. I think the principle of this is great. If you're a young adult, you will probably love this. And there are lots of elements that you can relate to that. Brodie has had enough of real life. She's had enough of being bullied, enough of being second best to his genius brother, not fitting in anywhere. Until he meets Nico, colourful, confident and flamboyant. Nico takes Brodie to Neverland, a diverse, magical place. This has great diversity, great themes of escaping to a place where you can be you. And don't we all like that? Maybe my Neverland is Booktube, where I can be me. It's where I go and be my favourite person. And we all need that escapism. And it is a good book like that. And it does talk about diversity. It talks about bullying. It talks about mental health. A lot of issues are tackled in this, done very well. Just not my age range. So I won't be rereading it, but it's one I'm glad I read. And it's one I would definitely recommend to you YA lovers that like fantasy as well. Just not for me. Then a good old Sophie Kinsella book to make me giggle. The Wedding Night by Sophie Kinsella. I've had this on my shelves for ages. Yet again, I flew through it. I laughed my flipping head off at so many points in this. Chris will always hear me laughing. Again, it's a good cosy YA. Sophie Kinsella isn't one of my favourite contemporary authors because I wouldn't necessarily want to reread them. Because yes, they're laughter, and this is one of our, one of our older books. I laughed my head off. Brilliant, fun book about wedding night, about sisters, about the older sister who looks after the younger sister, who is the one that knows she thinks she's doing what's right for her younger sister, but tends to get in the way a little bit. Don't we all with our siblings? But yeah, fun book, cosy. If you want a book to make you laugh, pick this up. I just realised who I'm going to send this to if she likes it. So I may well keep this to send off to someone. I know a fellow booktuber that needs a laugh, so that may be going. But again, brilliant, fun book. Another book, the book that was on my try chapter tag that I was reading this month, The Real Katie Lavender. 4 stars all the way. Thoroughly glad I picked this up. Got this ages ago from Julie from Hungry Bookworm. 4 stars, definitely enjoyed it. One of Erica James's better works. At 30, Katie Lavender thinks she knows better than most people when she comes to dealing with life surprises. But when she gets a request from a solicitor and not expecting a dramatic life turn in her life changes. It's good. It's a cosy romance. It's a bit of a contemporary, a bit about identity, about finding who you are. I like Katie's character, but she does get walked over a bit more than she should have done. So it's all right. If you want to know a bit more, obviously read the try chapter tag, but I'm glad I read it. 4 stars all the way, but it's not going to be a keepie. The next book is one I buddy read with the lovely Chloe from Chloe Reads Books. She DNF'd it. Didn't work for her. I am keeping it because there is another book coming out in the series. I know one of my fellow booktubers have read it this month and they liked it. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to keep it because I want to know if I'm going to like it. But it's a real slow slog. This was a gift from Charlie, from Charles Heathcote. Bit of a nearly 500 page book. And it took the first half to get into it. But once I was into it, I didn't want to put it down. Yes, again, very YA, very, you know that it's like some stuff is really, like, they wouldn't really happen, and very mysterious, very much tackling racism, youth, demons, scary stuff. Like, I was properly petrified at certain bits of this. I'm talking about being petrified. The book I'm about to pick up in a minute is going to scare the bejeebers out of me. This is good. It's very much a fantasy, demons, legend, like the King Arthur's round table, that kind of thing. Gory, scary, kind of weird, but very much trying to tackle diversity and a lot of other things as well. Tackling racism. It's interesting. There were certain bits of the historical fiction I really enjoyed. Like, I loved the Breeze historical fiction when she finds out about her family and her upbringing and the racial elements in there. But there were other storylines involving, one of them, her sort of romance man, the King Arthur legend bit that didn't interest me as much. It's good. 4 stars. I'm definitely keeping it, but not as good as I'd hoped. And I can understand why Chloe did DNF it. It's for a very long book. You really have to invest in it. But it was very much of what I needed at the time. Very different, very diverse, very much of a different book that you need to kind of really focus on to get me out of my world. That worked. That's why I think maybe it got higher because of that. But there is a second book that's getting released. I'm going to keep it because I would like to know whether I like the second book next year. Now, I finally finished the Barchester Chronicles. This is 800 pages and I read it in a month. How did I do it? 850 pages? I have no idea, but I read it this month. Yes! The Barchester Chronicles is gone. It's no longer needing to be read. Read it. End book was probably one of the better. It's 4 stars and I didn't like all of them. Yeah, I probably couldn't tell you too much because I flew through it probably a bit too much, but it was good. Loved the characters, loved the way it all sums up. There were some bits that made me cry, some bits that made me emotional, some bits that made me laugh. Can't tell you too much because it's the last in the series, but the series ends well and it is definitely one of my favourite books in the series, so that's a keepie. I've got my last few 4 stars. So this was the Skylark Secret, another book that was added on at the end of my TBR. But this is, I loved The Beekeeper's Promise by this author. I've loved a few of her works. This is probably one of my least favourite of hers, but it was still good. This is set in Lockhew in 1940 and it's, again, dual timeline. So we've got 1940 and we've got in the 1970s, and we find out about Flora's daughter and how she finds out how her mum happened and the romance. The truth about her family she needs to know, hidden in an unforgettable war story she needs to hear. Really good. Love the war story elements. I love the dual timelines. It works. And this lady, Lexi, finds out about her mum and finds out about the troubles she faced in the war and the romance that was there and some of the things that happened. It was a really good book. Very much definitely recommend it. But it's not one I'm going to keep. So it's a charity shop. This is one I am going to... I wasn't gonna, but I think that Jack from Spread Book Joy. I'm debating whether I send you this. Let me know if you look at this. If you like it, let me know in the comments below. I'm going to send you this as a gift because I bought it full price and I would like it to go to a different home. Berlin Girl is very hard hitting. The ending is incredible. I can't tell you the ending because obviously it gives spoilers. Set in Berlin in 1938 and a reporter, Georgie Young, is posted to Berlin alongside fellow Londoner Max Fender, and they're entering the eye of the storm of the war, and they get drawn into, again, some of the Jewish elements in that happened at the time. The city swathed in red flags and crawling with Nazis. This is tension, scariness, all of the emotions, a bit of romance, but a very darker wartime book, but it's very, very, very good. I'm definitely going to pick up other books by this author. Very hard-hitting. I think Georgie Young is a very strong female in this, and she's portrayed brilliantly. The things that she did to, I know it's all fictional, but again, you can imagine the war reporters that went from London to Germany, they were going into the Iron Storm, they were going into a dangerous zone where they could have easily been damaged, and it was very well portrayed. So Jack, if you like this, let me know, and it will go in your package. Because I think Jack's a lovely, Jack from Spoke Book Joy, I will remember to link her below. Brilliant channel, one I thoroughly recommend. I know she's talked to me about the fact she likes historical fiction. This is one of the harder hitting historical fiction, but it's one I think she will like. So let me know if you want it. That's my posty book. And then penultimately on the 4-star book is this one here, The Night Watch by Sarah Waters. This is my borrow book that I've had from my sister Charlie for about 2 years. This is my first Sarah Waters book that's set in the wartime and post-war. And it's the extraordinary story of 4 Londoners: Kay, who wanders the street in mannish clothes; Helen, who harbours a troubling secret; Viv, a glamour girl; and Duncan, an apparent innocent, struggling with demons of his own. LGBTQI+ at its best, a wartime element, which I didn't expect. There are graphic sex scenes in this, in every which way. So be warned going into this, there is a lot of raunchiness. There is a lot of hard-hitting war elements. There is a lot of LGBTQI+ elements where they are being abused for being their sexualities and stuff, and how sexuality, if you were those, weren't straight, you were judged, and that is tackled very hard in this. So be warned, there is all that elements as well. You've got wartime books. It is a really, really good book, and it's one I thoroughly recommend. Sarah Waters doesn't disappoint, but that's one I've got to give back to my sister. I was budget reading that with Maria from MH Books, but obviously she's had a loss this month, so she had to stop towards the end. Sending you all my love, Maria. When you return, we're here for you. Now to my 4.5 stars. I've got 3 of them. One that I didn't expect to love as much was this Italian Wedding by Nicky Pellegrino. I would dream of going to Italy. My mum and my dad went there quite a lot when I was growing up. Chris is a quarter Italian, so kind of don't know why I got the romantic side. I can imagine that Italians are romantic and passionate and all of those feelings, and this is very much done that. But this is, I would say, this is a mix of historical fiction and contemporary, because Peter's sister is getting married, and Peter is making a wedding gown, but she's distracted by a series of mysteries. Why her father is feuding with another Italian family, why her mother is troubled, and could the man she always held a torch for really get married to someone else? So this is tackling the history, the romance. It's tackling, her mother. You find out why her mother became down, and see her mother opening up, and her mother was a closed book because of postnatal depression. That's tackled brilliantly in this. Very good book. I love Nicky Pellegrino, this author's works. It's one I don't know whether my mum's going to read or whether I'll give it to a charity shop, so I will check with her. But it's one I would definitely recommend. Not one I'm going to keep, but one I thoroughly recommend. It just didn't have, it had a bit of predictability. Not one I would necessarily want to reread, so it's quite contemporary. So if that makes any sense whatsoever, but a good book. Then my book that I got from the library, again, I finished this very close to the end of the month. We Are Family, even if we don't always want to admit it. This was my library book that I read. I flew through it. 2 sisters, very different, very broken. One is favouritised by their mother. One was close to their father before their father passed away. The sister bond, the different battles they're both facing, how one thinks that the other one has the better life, and it doesn't always appear that way. It's tackling motherhood, it's tackling economy. It's brilliant. Thoroughly loved it. Really will look for more work by this author. Great contemporary book on sisters. Loved it. 4.5 stars all the way. Could not put it down. For a book this size, I couldn't put it down. It's brilliant. Really good fun. But it's a library book. Now, a book I picked up because I've heard it recommended to me by other people. But it's 4.5 stars. Happiness for Beginners by Carol Matthews. Oh, God. I really don't know if I'm going to keep this because it's 4.5 stars, but it's almost 5 stars. It is about a farm, and it's got real real issues it's tackling, but it's such a good book. I think I'm going to lend it to my mum and see whether I keep it after that. One broken family, two hearts melting, dozens of naughty animals. I love the animal side of this. Love how this is tackling. It does tackle autism. I think it also tackles a lot of bullying. It tackles people, because this lady opens up her farm to children that need help. Children that have autism and have various other things and need help. And this is brilliant. This is such a freaking great book. Molly is such a strong character. Yes, you have the predictable romance, but it's done well. It's got elements where you laugh, elements where you cry. You are fighting for Molly's farm, and it's bloody good. Mum, that is a definite mum book. I think she will love it. So those are my 4.5 star books, and they're all brilliant. Again, I would recommend them to everybody. And I've got my 3 5-stars. I'll start with one. I'm still not going to tell you my favourite though. The Lost and Found Bookshop, which has been on my shelves for not too long, but I wanted to end the month on a high. I wanted to change what was going on in my personal life and really get me thinking and pick up books that I knew that I wanted to read. Not books just to get off the shelf, but pick up books that I'd heard about that would really get me. And this, every which way, this is a definite sending to mum to read. Lost and Found Bookshop. Her story is waiting to be written, and I loved it. It's been all over BookTube. A lot of people have talking about it. Heartbroken Natalie Harper inherits her mother's charming cash-strapped bookshop and finds herself a carer to her ailing grandfather, Andrew. She thinks it's best to move into assisted living home to ensure his care, but has to pay for it. Natalie would have to sell up the bookshop, but she doesn't want to because it turns out her grandpa owns it. This is tackling dementia. This is tackling so many things, and you go into the history element of the bookshop. It's got books in it which we love. Has got a bit of romance. It has got a bit of that, but it's done so much through the intermingled in it. I love the history element in it, where they find when she's trying to do up the bookshelf, fix it to get her granddad sorted, look after her granddad. They find things in the bookshop. They find history. They find treasures, and discovering those treasures is done brilliantly. Thoroughly love this book. I am keeping it, so mum will be borrowing it. It's 5 stars all the way. And if you like books, if you like history, if you like contemporary, if you like family, pick this up. It's brilliant. Every bit of fantastic. Then penultimate book, The Lucky Escape. This is the one I finished at 9 o'clock last night. It's my recent Laura Jane Williams book. I bought it full price from the supermarket when I picked up my page turn book. And I saved it for when I needed it, and it worked. The Lucky Escape. Yes, it's contemporary. Yes, it's romance. Yes, it's good. Yes, we start off where this lady gets jilted at the altar virtually by Annie, and then she discovers so much more. She meets Patrick, and her life changes, and it's brilliant. To me, my favourite character is Annie's little sister, Freddie. Love her. She's probably one of the little gems. You know how you get the secondary characters that are gems? She's a gem. Annie has to change her approach to life. She's been bullied by her mother growing up, and she doesn't believe that she's worth anything. She doesn't have much self-worth. And this is her going on a journey, and it's brilliant. Laura Jane Williams does not disappoint. 5 stars all the way. Skippy. And then last but not least, my book that I was reading for our read-along, Wuthering Heights. There is going to be a video coming live on Kate House channel where we did a Zoom chat on Saturday night and we talked about Wuthering Heights. You all know it's my favourite book. I do not need to tell you any more. It's my favourite book ever, which is why I'm straight away going to tell you it's not my favourite book of the month, because it would be cheating if I included a book that I knew was going to be 5 stars anyway. It's still my favourite book of the month, of my favourite book of my life ever. It's every bit of as great as I imagined it was going to be. Thoroughly loved it. Picked up more this time than I'd done in other times. Developed new favourite characters. To discover more, please watch our Zoom chat when it goes live on Kate's channel, and you'll find out how much I loved it. But you all know that anyway. So, here we go. My favourite book of part 2, of October part 2, is The Lost and Found Bookshop. Mum, hope you like it. I'm keeping this. I'm going to reread that. Favourite Booktober book? Lady Audley's Secret, which was in part 1, my October part 1, which I will link below. Thoroughly loved this. Want to look for more Mary Elizabeth Braddon's work. Best Victober book ever. Apart from 300, obviously. I'm not cheating you with Ring Lights. I'm not cheating on you, but it's going to go up as my favourite Victorian book. Then my favourite October book, if you don't count Victober in general, has got to be The Patchwork Girls by Elaine Everest, which I read again, part 1. It's 5 stars. It's going on my top 10 books of the year. My mum's just read it and she loved it. Fantastic. It's out in all the shops. Pick it up. So, sorry about the long video. Let me know in the comments below, what was your favourite book of October? What was your favourite Victober book if you joined in? Is there any of these books you want to talk to me about? I love talking to you. And before I forget, because I nearly forgot, I got to my 800 subscribers. I'm now on about, I think it was 812 or 813 when I'm recording this. So today, down below on my channel, you're going to see a poll. So you guys get to pick 3 books for me. So I will do a poll on 4 contemporary books where you can vote for the favourite of the 4 contemporary books, 4 non-fiction books, 4 historical fiction books. The top book in each of those polls will get added onto my December TBR. And as a thank you to you guys, the next thing is in January, I will be doing a BookTuber shout out to you all, to shout out to channels that have less than 1,000 subscribers, because I think we deserve a bit of a shout out video. Thank you all for subscribing to me. Thank you to new subscribers. Vote in the poll below. I can't wait to see you guys what you vote for my December books. I'm scared. I'm trusting you guys. Take care, guys, and thank you all for your love. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and not subscribed yet, why not? Ring on my ding-a-ling. And I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.